How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over how my team got on in Game Week 9, a little bit of a reflection on how the team is performing, and then we're going to go straight into my transfer options as well as my team selection for the upcoming Game Week 10. As you can see on the screen here, we have the team of the week and a couple of differentials and probably a lot of players that we don't own were the top scorers, and this usually is quite a good indication that the average is probably going to be quite low this game week. Let's take a look at how my team got on as well as what the game week average was right now. So as you can see on screen, we managed to amass a point total of 46, above the average of 37 there, and saw a nice green arrow up to about the 44k mark. Very happy to be in the top 50k, especially at around the game week 10 mark, as we can kind of get a good indication of how the season is going and how the team is performing. So as you can see, Ryan in goal with 3 points. A little bit disappointing there. Brighton didn't perform as well as I hoped, but always welcoming that extra save point that Ryan usually does produce. So I was quite happy that although they lost the clean sheet, he could kind of help out a little bit with that extra bonus point. But I'm happy with Ryan, has been performing over the previous weeks, and I think if you kind of take a 3 game week kind of moderation of him, he's performed quite well. Very well against the top teams, so against the poorer teams we can kind of cut him some slack. Then going on to our transfer in for this game week, Pereira, highly disappointing just due to the fact that Lucas Digne got that clean sheet, so a little bit of a loss on that move, but I'm hoping that Pereira over the upcoming future game weeks can perform better than Lucas Digne, and then we can look at a net profit. So 2 points there. I didn't get that defensive points, but attacking wise he was quite good. I think I read something that he managed to create 6 chances there, so not really his fault if his teammates aren't finishing those chances, but at least he is creating them, and that's exactly what we brought Pereira in for, that extra premium price. We're just hoping that he can get some attacking returns as well. Then we go on to Nathan Ake. I said in the last team selection that I was kind of playing the odds a little bit here and either hoping for an Ake clean sheet or a Pookie goal. So this game week we got the Ake clean sheet. Quite surprising that Bournemouth Norwich game ended the way it did. 0-0, no team scoring any, and considering all of us ridiculing the Norwich and Bournemouth defenses last game week, it just shows that sometimes these games don't really pan out the way we predict. But 8 points with a lovely bonus points. I think he got 2 or 3 bonus points as well there. So really good of Nathan Ake, and he's been pretty much one of my best performing players coming in at the start of the season as a little bit of a differential punt there. I know he was quite highly owned at the start, but that ownership has dropped quite low, and I do think that in the upcoming game weeks we will be looking at transferring Ake out. Then we have Robertson with 3 bonus points and an assist. I was expecting maybe a little bit more from Liverpool against Manchester United, but as I said with the Bournemouth Norwich game, sometimes these games don't pan out as we expected, but I was really happy that Robertson managed to get that assist. Over the last couple game weeks, he has been performing better than Trent Alexander-Arnold, so I was really happy with that, as I've simply not been able to transfer Robertson to TAA just because I think it's a little bit of a sideways move. But 8 points always welcome from Robertson, and at least Liverpool are kind of getting some defensive surety up now, and I'm sure in the upcoming game weeks he should be getting some clean sheets back. Then we have Lundstrom, kind of the savior of many people's game weeks, with a little bit of a shock victory against Arsenal there, but Sheffield United usually keep it quite tight at the back, so a lovely 1-0 victory against Arsenal on Monday night. He came on to our starting 11 due to the fact that Salah missed out as well as Otamendi, so his points were really welcomed into the side, and Sheffield United looked to be one of the best, if not the best defense to kind of invest in. Definitely from a budget option point of view, I'm looking at even maybe doubling up on the Sheffield United defense, but we'll talk about that later in the transfer options. Going into midfield, Cantwell with 3 points, just that clean sheet bonus point there. Kind of just played him, hoped that Norwich and Bournemouth would be a high scoring affair. Unfortunately it wasn't, and we can kind of see the attack didn't perform that well just due to that fixture not really performing. Then we have Sterling with 5 points. AGUERO was benched this game week, so I was expecting maybe Sterling to kind of punish his non-owners, but he didn't. Ended up with just an assist and a 5-point appearance. Did pick up a yellow card if I am not mistaken there, so minus point deduction there. But with Sterling, he scored a hat-trick midweek in their Champions League fixture, so he's looking to be picking up some better form, and I'm just hoping he can kind of replicate that form in the Premier League. Then we have Mount with 3 points, also a disappointing game, but I kind of expected the Newcastle game to be quite close, but I did expect Chelsea to win it. That's why I kind of took a little bit of punt on the captaincy, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But with Mount, 3 points, has been performing well over the previous game week, so definitely a stayer in my squad, but we kind of have to look at the transfer options at another Chelsea midfielder that is also performing quite well. Then De Bruyne with 3 points, also a little bit of a disappointing game week for Man City, but not much we can do about that. Going into the attack, as I said, my captaincy was on Abraham. I did think that it would be a tight affair, but if Chelsea scored, I was kind of banking on it being Abraham. It wasn't in the end, it was Marcus Alonso, so kind of just have to take that one on the chin. The other captaincy would have been Sterling, so a little bit of a miss on points there. Could have been a really good game week compared to a good one, but I'm not too phased about that. Then with Pookie with 1 point, managed to pick up another yellow card, so he seems to be on kind of a run of 2-2-1-1, so hopefully next game week it's not 0. Touch wood, I did not just jinx that. But going onto the bench, lots of zeros there as not many players from my bench played. Button, it kind of can be an excuse there as he's the reserve for Ryan. But with Otamendi, he picked up a little bit of a knock, a little bit annoying that Pep Guardiola didn't announce that in his press conference, but not much we can do about that. And then Salah, we knew that he did pick up that injury against Leicester and he didn't manage to recover. Looking tonight if he does start in that Champions League game, and then we can see if he's back on form. Then with Greenwood, wasn't really expecting him to play, so another 0 points. But let's look into how the team is setting up for game week 10. So as you can see on screen here, we have a nice 4-4-2 formation, but we'll talk about possible changes that could happen before that game week 10 deadline, which is on a Friday. That's one thing that I want you guys to please take note of. Probably the most important thing about this video is it is a Friday night deadline, so please pay attention for that and don't get caught out. So starting in goal, we have Ryan against Everton. Brighton seem to be quite good at home this season, so I'm really expecting Ryan to perform quite well. Everton have picked up a little bit of form, so I'm expecting that game to be quite a close one, and hopefully if it is a close one, it ends 0-0, and we do pick up that Ryan clean sheet. But the save points always come in handy with Matt Ryan, so I'm not too worried about him in goal. Going into the defense, we have Robertson against Spurs. A little bit annoying that Spurs picked up better form midweek in their Champions League fixture, but in the Premier League they've been absolutely dreadful. So I am hoping that Robertson, especially because it is a home fixture, that Robertson does manage to keep a clean sheet and maybe even attacking return like he did last game week. Then with Otamendi kind of just shooting in the dark here, just hoping that he plays and we don't get kind of bit by Pep roulette again. But Aston Villa at home should be a good fixture for Man City. I know defensively they haven't been that sure, and Aston Villa attacking wise are looking quite good, but I'm just hoping that maybe Man City can shore up at the back and get that clean sheet point. Then with Pereira against Southampton, I'm really hoping that he can kind of show why we transferred him in. I think he's going to be getting miles forward in this game and hopefully get some attacking returns. And I know Southampton away is a tough fixture defensively, but I'm just hoping maybe attacking returns can come in handy in this one. Then I'm currently starting Lundstrom against West Ham, as West Ham had a disappointing game against Everton. They didn't show too much attacking prowess there, and as you know, Sheffield United keep it nice and tight at the back, so I'm expecting Lundstrom to maybe get some defensive points there, and him being an out of position player always has that chance to get forward and maybe even get an attacking return. Then going into midfield, we have De Bruyne and Sterling. I'm going to talk about them together as it is a common fixture. Should be a good game for Man City. As with Liverpool, they are a different beast at home, and I'm expecting Man City to win this game, and hopefully Sterling and De Bruyne can get on the end of some attacking returns. Right now, I do have the captaincy on Sterling, after his hat-trick midweek against Atalanta, but De Bruyne is kind of the safe option in my opinion. He came off on 60 minutes and I think he's guaranteed to start, whereas Sterling, we could see some rotation, especially after this international break. So De Bruyne is kind of the safe one to go for, but I think that Sterling probably has the highest ceiling, and currently I have it on him as he's a little bit more of a risk. In the other midfield positions, we do have Mason Mount against Burnley. I think this is going to be a tough one, and probably the reason why I don't jump on another Chelsea attacker for this game week, as I think this is going to be a tight game. Burnley away, stereotypically always a good defensive side, so I'm expecting Chelsea to win, but like the Newcastle game, I don't think there's going to be many goals in that one, and I'm just hoping that maybe Mount and Abraham can get on the end of those goals. Then we have Salah against Spurs. If Liverpool kind of want to challenge for the title, they got to be winning these games. Saw them drop points against Manchester United. I think they're going to be raring to go, especially it is a home fixture. So Salah should do well in this one, but if you do have another option like Mane, you could look at even captaining him, but I'm simply just stuck on the Man City boys. Then we have Pukki, kind of the main talking point over the past couple game weeks. I'm just kind of hoping that maybe this Manchester United game at home can kind of rev them up a little bit. We have seen them performing quite well against the top side, so hoping that Pukki can kind of get a return in this one and kind of repay me for my faith in him and all my patience. Then on the bench you have Cantor, Ake and Greenwood. I think that there's a little bit of a benching headache here. I think that with Ake, Watford will score, especially because it is a home fixture for them and they have looked a little bit better recently. I know they are still rooted in that relegation battle, but I think that Bournemouth's defense isn't that great, so I'm perfectly happy with keeping Ake on the bench. And then with Cantwell, I am kind of taking a punt on Pukki, so I might as well take a punt on Cantwell as well. But I think coming in about 4.9, I can afford to bench him and look ahead to maybe keeping him or transferring him out. But let's get into some transfer options and thoughts that I'm having for my FPL team. So as you can see on screen, we have a nice 3-5-3 formation here. It can't be a formation in fantasy as that is illegal. You have too many players on the field, but you know what I'm talking about in this one. So in defense, if I was to make a transfer, it probably would be Nathan Ake out. But if Otamendi continues to kind of get rotated, I don't know if I'll be able to hold him on for that long. But in defense, I have three options here. We have O'Connell. I spoke about that Sheffield United defense being quite solid, so I could bring him in as a nice 4.5 option. I still have Tomori. He's been in basically my watch list for the past 3 game weeks. Chelsea look to be performing well, especially if N'Golo Kante comes back. I'm really going to have a lot of faith in that Chelsea defense, and Tomori seems to be a set starter, comes in at 4.7, so could bring him in. With Bolly, Wolves have such nice fixtures, as you can see here. After probably that Arsenal fixture, they've gone on a very nice run, and I do expect Wolves to pick up a couple clean sheets and rebound on kind of this bad form that they've been in and replicate the form they had last season. But these are kind of the defensive options. Going into more the attack options, I've highlighted 5 midfielders here. We have Jack Grealish from Aston Villa and Martial from Man United. Martial simply because Man United have some nice fixtures here, and I think he provides a little bit of a differential having come back from injury. But those two are kind of just options that I have, kind of differential options. And then going into the more secure options, Hudson-Odoi. I spoke about that Chelsea option I was considering as an attacker, and Hudson-Odoi is that man. He's managed 3 assists in the past couple game weeks, and I really like how he's been playing, cutting in that left side wing. I watched the highlights of Chelsea vs Newcastle, and although it was a tight game defensively, Hudson-Odoi was getting into some nice positions and also providing some nice assists. So Hudson-Odoi looks to be an option that I could bring in, maybe for the likes of Cantor if I downgrade Pukki, but that's the reason why I might not be looking at Tomori, as it kind of closes off that 3 Chelsea attacking option. Then the other option is David Silva, has been performing well, starting a lot of games for Man City, so could look at him as a downgrade for maybe Sterling if Sterling is continually rotated. And then Maddison and Vardy, I'm going to talk about them together as they're from the same club, but you know about their fixtures, have some very nice fixtures. I think Vardy's a better option than Maddison, but Maddison's a little bit cheaper and kind of fills that midfield position where the forwards have been performing quite well in other clubs. But going on to the forwards, we have Ings and Mupai. I think that with Ings has scored in the last 3 games, which has showed that he's got a little bit of form. Southampton fixtures are a little bit iffy, so I don't know if I'll be taking a punt on him yet, but he definitely is on the watch list. Same with the Brighton attacker. You could go for Conley, but I just think that Mupai, sorry if I'm butchering his name there, is maybe a better option and a more secure option as that kind of out-and-out centre forward. But the thing I don't really like about Brighton is their fixtures. Could maybe take a punt on these 2 game weeks, but then after that I will be looking at maybe transferring out. I could maybe look at Mopai and then Ings as a kind of swap and switch there, but I don't know about that. And then obviously I've already spoken about Vardy at 9.1 million. But that's going to kind of wrap it up for this team selection. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I hope you're celebrating that we're back in that top 50k. It's a really nice position to be in, and I'm quite happy about it. So hopefully we can kind of continue these green arrows and hopefully end the season with a really good rank. So please follow me on Twitter for the final team. I know last game week I didn't update my team, but that's just because it did not change from the team selection video, so there was no need to update it. If you watched the video, you would have had the team. So maybe this game week it'll probably be the same unless I make a transfer. But stay tuned to my Twitter at DayvyFPL for any future updates. Otherwise, like the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you are new or just not have simply subscribed yet. But otherwise, I'm DayvyFPL and I'm signing off. Cheers.